You see, God works in silence before he works in power. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. Like a seed growing unseen beneath the soil, your breakthrough is germinating in places you cannot touch, cannot see, and cannot control. What you've interpreted as delay has actually been divine development. Have you ever felt that strange sensation deep in your spirit, a whisper telling you that something monumental is about to shift in your life? That feeling that you're standing on the edge of a divine appointment that could change everything. Now, what if I told you that God has revealed something extraordinary about this coming November? That heavenly blueprints have already been drawn, divine appointments already scheduled, and spiritual breakthroughs already authorized, all waiting to manifest in your life before this month ends. When God speaks about timing, he's not speaking of mere calendar dates or human schedules. He's speaking of destiny, moments, written in heaven long ago that are now approaching their appointed hour on earth. Has this ever happened to you? That moment when something you prayed for years ago suddenly manifests and you realize God wasn't late, he was precisely on time. The end of November will not be an ordinary time. For some of you watching right now, it will mark a divine reversal. Situations that seemed hopeless suddenly turning around in your favor. For others, it will be the long-awaited birthing of what you've prayed for, cried for, and waited on through seasons of deafening silence. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share isn't based on human calculation or wishful thinking. It's about divine orchestration, God's perfect arrangement of people, circumstances, and timing to bring forth his purpose in your life. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because November represents a spiritual transition point where heaven's calendar aligns with Earth's circumstances. Those contradictions you've been experiencing, believing for increase while watching decrease, praying for clarity but feeling confusion, seeking open doors but finding closed ones. They weren't signs of failure. They were confirmation of your calling. God allows contradiction not to break your faith but to test its authenticity. He wanted to see if you would still trust him when the promise seemed delayed, when your strength was gone, when your prayers felt unanswered, because those who pass the test of silence are the ones who inherit the sound of glory. The end of November isn't just about a date on your calendar. It's about divine timing converging with human readiness. God has been preparing you secretly, stripping away what cannot survive in your next season. That's why relationship shifts have occurred in your life. That's why doors closed unexpectedly. That's why some of your plans fell apart, not because you failed, but because God was protecting the plan. He could not allow you to reach your destination attached to the wrong people or weighed down by the wrong distractions. What appeared as loss was actually a hidden transformation, preparing you for what's next. There's a profound mindset shift that happens when you understand that God works in silence before he works in power. This silence isn't absence, it's strategy. When an artist creates a masterpiece, the canvas experiences nothing but pressure and paint before beauty emerges. Your life is that canvas, and the pressure you've felt has been the divine artist preparing his revelation. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic of divine authorization. What's coming to you at the end of November carries heaven's signature. No enemy can cancel it, no delay can erase it, and no betrayal can block it. There are forces that have tried to stand between you and your destiny, but they've failed because they were fighting against a plan that was settled in heaven before time began. Every obstacle you faced was permitted for a purpose. Every mountain in your path wasn't meant to block you. It was positioned to teach you how to climb. The journey itself has been preparing you for the destination. This is the hidden truth that changes everything. Your struggles weren't random. They were a rehearsal for revelation. Think about Joseph in Scripture, 13 years between his dream and his destiny. During those years of betrayal, false accusation, and imprisonment, heaven was silently working, positioning him for a purpose bigger than his pain. The very brothers who threw him in a pit would one day bow before him, not knowing they were fulfilling the plan they tried to destroy. Your breakthrough is germinating in places beyond your control. Like a seed pushing through soil in complete darkness, your destiny is fighting its way to the surface. The waiting period hasn't been wasted time. It's been essential preparation. The decisions that seemed insignificant were actually critical junctures in your spiritual development. The divine authorization on your life means that what God has ordained, no human can cancel. The promotion has your name on it. The healing carries your spiritual signature. The reconciliation bears your family's seal. When heaven authorizes something, earth must align with it. This is why your faith matters so much right now. It's the currency that converts heavenly declarations into earthly manifestations. If this divine message touched your spirit, make sure to subscribe to join our spiritual family. We share powerful revelations like this one to guide you through every season of your journey. Behind the scenes of your everyday life, spiritual forces have been at work. The mundane moments, the unexpected detours, the painful disappointments, all have been secretly weaving together a tapestry of purpose that will soon be revealed. What you interpreted as delay was actually divine development, refining your character for the weight of glory your future requires. If you're feeling this resonating deep in your spirit, write "divinely authorized" in the comments below. Now, let's explore how God has been using contradiction in your life as confirmation of your calling. Many of you have been walking through what I call a season of contradiction. You've believed for expansion, but experienced limitation. You've prayed for abundance, yet witnessed scarcity. You've sought clarity only to encounter confusion. These paradoxes create a profound inner tension, a cognitive dissonance that challenges your spiritual mindset. But here's the revelation that will transform your perspective. Contradiction isn't meant to break your faith. It's designed to test its authenticity. When gold is refined, it must pass through fire. The heat doesn't destroy the gold, it purifies it, separating what's precious from what's worthless. The contradictions you're facing are the refiner's fire, revealing the genuine quality of your trust in God. The opposition you're experiencing isn't evidence that you're on the wrong path. It's confirmation of the future God has planned. Think about it. No one fights against something insignificant. The level of resistance often indicates the level of potential impact your breakthrough will create. The enemy doesn't waste resources attacking what doesn't threaten his kingdom. Your journey through these contradictions has been preparing you for a divine convergence. The end of November represents a sacred intersection where heaven's timing meets your human readiness. This cosmic alignment doesn't happen by accident. It occurs when God's sovereign calendar synchronizes with your spiritual maturity. Behind the scenes, a meticulous preparation has been taking place. Like a master gardener pruning a valuable plant, God has been removing what cannot survive in your next season. Those relationships that suddenly shifted weren't random social changes. They were divine recalibrations. The doors that closed weren't failures. They were protection from paths that would have diluted your purpose. Even those plans that crumbled in your hands weren't evidence of your inadequacy. They were divine interventions, preventing you from building something that couldn't accommodate your approaching promotion. God's love sometimes manifests as disruption because he sees what you cannot see. That comfort in the wrong season can become an obstacle to your destiny. This process of divine positioning often feels disorienting. When pieces of your life seem to be falling apart, they're actually falling into place. The uncomfortable transitions create space for new growth. The painful letting go prepares your hands to receive what's next. The uncertainty cultivates dependency on divine guidance rather than human understanding. November marks the culmination of this preparation period. It's as if heaven has been assembling puzzle pieces behind a curtain, and now the curtain is about to be drawn back, revealing a picture more beautiful than you imagined. The waiting wasn't a punishment. It was a positioning for perfect timing. If you recognize this process happening in your own life, type divine positioning in the comments below. Let's now examine how God hides blessings behind challenges and growth behind isolation. There's a profound mystery in how God operates in our lives, a divine paradox that defies human logic but reveals spiritual wisdom. God consistently hides blessings behind pain, embeds purpose within pressure, and cultivates growth through isolation. This counterintuitive pattern isn't random. It's the signature of a creator who understands that our greatest transformations often emerge from our deepest challenges. Think about the butterfly's metamorphosis. The caterpillar doesn't just grow wings. It must first surrender to complete dissolution within the chrysalis. What appears to be destruction is actually the catalyst for its most beautiful evolution. Similarly, what feels like breakdown in your life may actually be breakthrough in disguise. The pressure isn't crushing you. It's creating a diamond within you. Many of you have been experiencing seasons of unprecedented isolation. Friends have distanced, opportunities have vanished, and you felt forgotten in the shadows. But isolation isn't abandonment, it's incubation. Moses received his calling in the wilderness, not in Pharaoh's palace. David developed his character tending sheep alone before he led a nation. Jesus himself withdrew to solitary places before his greatest miracles. Those who have learned to trust God in isolation are the very ones about to walk into manifestation. The hidden faith you've maintained when no one was watching is transforming into visible favor that everyone will notice. November marks the threshold where what was cultivated in secret begins to flourish in the open. Now, I want to speak directly to those carrying promises for years, those who've heard God's whisper about your destiny but have seen little evidence of its fulfillment. The silence hasn't been God's forgetfulness, but his meticulous preparation for perfect alignment. Like a master watchmaker adjusting every gear and spring to ensure precise function, God has been aligning time, place, and people for your promise. He's been preparing hearts to receive you, systems to favor you, and circumstances to bless you. The delay wasn't denial. It was divine synchronization. Just as planetary alignments are rare cosmic events requiring precise celestial positioning, your breakthrough required the right configuration of elements that couldn't be rushed or forced. Some promises seem delayed because they depend on factors beyond your individual readiness. Perhaps others needed preparation to participate in your vision. Maybe economic systems or social structures needed adjustment to accommodate your calling. The interconnectedness of God's plan means your timeline is woven into a larger tapestry of purpose. What appears as waiting to you has actually been active preparation behind the scenes. The unseen realm has been buzzing with activity, heavenly arrangements, angelic assignments, and divine orchestrations, all working toward the moment when everything aligns perfectly for your promise to manifest without struggle or strain. If you sense that God has been preparing perfect alignment in your life, type divine synchronization in the comments below. Let's explore how what seemed like sacred setbacks were actually strategic setups for your elevation. What we often label as setbacks are actually sacred moments of divine intervention. Every delay you've experienced hasn't been a denial. It's been divine timing at work. Each disappointment wasn't meant to discourage you, but to direct you toward a higher path. The rejection that stung so deeply was actually heaven's protection, redirecting you from what wouldn't fulfill your ultimate purpose. This spiritual journey requires a complete mindset transformation, seeing obstacles not as barriers, but as bridges to your destiny. When doors closed and opportunities vanished, God wasn't punishing you. He was protecting you from what wouldn't sustain you in your next season. The waiting wasn't wasted time. It was vital preparation, developing qualities within you that couldn't be rushed or manufactured. God doesn't measure your progress by speed, but by depth. Our culture celebrates quick success, instant results, and overnight sensations. But God is more concerned with your roots than your fruits. He knows that what grows tall without growing deep will eventually collapse. The invisible foundation of character being built in you now will determine how much visible influence you can sustain later. Now, I want to share something profound about the nature of divine promotion. God has been intentionally deepening your roots during this waiting season, so that when He finally elevates you, you'll be unshakable. Trees that grow slowly often withstand storms that uproot faster-growing species. Your slow growth hasn't been punishment, it's been protection for your future. Have you noticed how many people receive sudden success only to self-destruct shortly after? The capacity to handle abundance is different from the desire to receive it. God loves you too much to give you what you're not yet prepared to steward. The crushing pressure you felt hasn't been designed to break you, but to build your capacity for the weight of glory coming your way. This preparation process isn't just about handling external blessings, but internal transformation. God has been training your spirit to recognize true value, teaching your heart to remain humble in high places, and developing your character to maintain integrity when no one is watching. These qualities can't be downloaded instantly. They must be developed gradually through testing and proving. Your spiritual posture is being readied for promotion. Like a dancer who spends years strengthening muscles and perfecting form before the spotlight performance, you've been in heavenly training, developing the spiritual muscles needed to carry influence without being corrupted by it. The resistance you've encountered wasn't opposing your destiny. It was creating the strength required to sustain it. What seems like overflow to an unprepared vessel becomes overwhelming to the unprepared heart. God has been carefully expanding your capacity to receive so that when His abundance flows, you won't collapse under its weight, but will instead become a channel of distribution to others. The stretching pain you've experienced has been creating room for greater blessing. If you recognize that God has been preparing your capacity for what's coming, type "ready for overflow" in the comments. Let's examine why the greatest battles often come right before breakthrough. Have you ever noticed that the darkest hour often comes just before dawn? This is not just a poetic expression, but a spiritual principle that manifests in our lives. The greatest battles we face typically happen right before divine fulfillment arrives. If you're experiencing unusual opposition, unexpected chaos, or intensified spiritual warfare right now, take heart. It's not a sign of failure, but an indicator that your breakthrough is imminent. The enemy of your soul understands the power of timing. He can sense when divine momentum is building and your season of manifestation approaches. That's precisely when he stirs the storm most violently, not because he's winning, but because he's desperate. The adversary always creates his greatest resistance against what threatens his influence most. Your current battlefield is actually evidence of the breakthrough waiting on the other side. The intensity of opposition often reveals the significance of what's about to emerge. History shows us this pattern repeatedly. Moses faced Pharaoh's hardened heart right before the Red Sea parted. David confronted Goliath before ascending to his destiny. Jesus endured Gethsemane before resurrection glory. The pressure you're experiencing isn't crushing you. It's revealing the diamond that God has been forming within you. Peace becomes a powerful weapon in these moments of chaos. When everything external suggests panic, your internal calm becomes proof that God has spoken over your situation. The enemy stirs turbulence because he knows that peace is the evidence of divine authority. When you maintain tranquility amidst the storm, you demonstrate that you're anchored to something or someone more powerful than your circumstances. Now, I want to explore the profound concept of refinement for glory. Every tear you've shed hasn't been wasted. It has watered the soil of your next season. Those moments of weeping in the midnight hours, when no one saw your pain, were actually irrigating the seeds of promise planted in your spirit. The emotional journey you've traveled has been preparing fertile ground for abundant harvest. Every heartbreak you've endured has served a higher purpose, purifying your motives. Pain has a remarkable way of clarifying what truly matters. When comfort is stripped away, authentic desires emerge. God uses these moments not to punish, but to purify, removing mixed motives and self-centered ambitions that would ultimately corrupt the blessing He intends to entrust to you. Pure hearts receive pure revelation. Don't miss another divine appointment. Hit that subscribe button now and become part of a community that's walking in faith and expectation of breakthrough. Even disappointment has played a crucial role in your preparation. Each time expectations weren't met, pride was being burned away from your character. Humility isn't learned through success, but through the crucible of unmet expectations. These moments weren't random setbacks, but deliberate refinement, preparing a vessel that can properly hold the weight of glory without cracking under its pressure. This spiritual transformation process mirrors how precious metals are refined. Gold must endure extreme heat to separate impurities from its true nature. Similarly, the heat of your trials has been removing what isn't authentic, leaving only what's genuinely part of your divine design. The refiner's fire doesn't destroy the gold. It reveals its true value by removing what diminishes its worth. If you recognize that your current battles are signaling imminent breakthrough, type "breakthrough coming" in the comments below. Let's now uncover how divine clarity is about to emerge suddenly in your circumstances. At the end of November, something extraordinary is about to happen in the spiritual atmosphere. There will be a tangible shift that many will feel as a divine urgency, a sudden clarity that seems to descend without warning. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a spiritual awakening that will transform confusion into crystal clear vision. Imagine waking up one morning and suddenly knowing exactly what to do about that situation that's perplexed you for months. This sudden clarity doesn't come through human effort or intellectual wrestling. It emerges from divine alignment, from that sacred space where your readiness meets God's perfect timing. People who have been stuck in decision paralysis will suddenly see the path forward with remarkable precision. Projects that seemed hopelessly complicated will untangle before your eyes. Relationships that felt impossibly knotted will find resolution not through struggle, but through supernatural insight. What makes this revelation so powerful is its effortlessness. You won't have to strive for breakthrough. It will find you. The doors that refuse to budge despite your pushing will suddenly swing open without resistance. The clarity won't arrive gradually like dawn, slowly brightening the sky. It will appear suddenly like a light switched on in a darkened room, illuminating everything at once. This is how God often works, suddenly yet strategically. He may seem silent for seasons, but He's never inactive. Behind the curtain of your visible reality, He's been orchestrating every detail, aligning every circumstance, preparing every heart that needs to be involved in your next chapter. Then, when everything is perfectly positioned, he reveals it all at once, leaving you in awe of his meticulous attention to detail. Now, I want to explore the profound mindset transformation that will occur as understanding dawns. The end of November will become a timestamp of justification, the moment when your patience finally makes sense. Looking back from this vantage point, every confusing detour, every painful delay, every closed door will suddenly reveal its purpose in the grand narrative of your journey. It's like watching a master weaver at work. From behind the loom, all you can see are loose threads, seemingly random patterns, and what appears to be chaos. But when the weaver allows you to step around and view the front of the tapestry, you suddenly understand that every thread, even the dark ones, was essential to creating the masterpiece. God operates in a divine sequence. He performs first, then reveals. He doesn't typically explain his methods before demonstrating his power. He doesn't usually provide a roadmap before the journey begins. Instead, he leads you through the process, allowing questions and confusion to build spiritual muscle, and then, at the appointed time, he pulls back the curtain of understanding. And when that revelation comes, your heart will overflow with gratitude. You'll look back at the moments you questioned his wisdom, the nights you cried out, "Why?" The seasons when his silence felt like abandonment, and you'll understand that even these were expressions of his perfect love. The waiting wasn't punishment, it was protection. The silence wasn't absence, it was preparation. The confusion wasn't cruelty, it was cultivation of deeper faith. If this resonates with your spirit and you sense that divine clarity is approaching in your situation, type "waiting for revelation" in the comments. Let's discover how specific promises are already scheduled to manifest in your life. Let me speak directly to those of you who have been seeking specific manifestations in your life, whether financial breakthrough, physical healing, emotional peace, or relationship restoration. God wants you to know that these aren't just hopes floating in uncertainty. They're already written and scheduled in the divine calendar, just as a package that's been shipped has already left the warehouse and is making its way to your doorstep. Your breakthrough has already been released from heaven's storehouse and is en route to your reality. This perspective creates a profound mindset shift. Instead of desperately chasing provision, you can rest in the knowledge that provision is already pursuing you. Divine favor doesn't need to be earned through exhausting effort. It's programmed to locate those who align with heaven's frequency. What's been withheld wasn't forgotten. It was being accumulated for a strategic release that will create maximum impact in your life. Many of you have experienced what felt like financial drought, where opportunities dried up and resources seemed scarce. But in the spiritual economy, droughts often precede downpours. The delayed blessing has been gathering momentum, collecting interest in heaven's treasury. When it finally breaks through, it won't trickle in gradually. It will rush in with surprising force, making up for lost time and exceeding what you would have received through gradual increase. For those seeking healing, whether physical, emotional, or relational, understand that your healing isn't something that needs to be created. It's something that needs to be released. It's not coming, it's scheduled. It's not a distant possibility, it's an imminent reality. The healing virtue has already been authorized with your name on it, and the end of November marks its appointed delivery date. Now, I want to reveal something crucial about maintaining spiritual focus as this divine hour approaches. You may have already noticed an unusual increase in distractions, unexpected problems demanding your attention, or strange attacks in areas that were previously peaceful. This isn't coincidence, it's resistance. The enemy of your soul can sense when breakthrough is imminent, and his strategy is always to divert your focus from the promise to the problem. You might experience sudden fatigue when trying to pray, unexpected conflicts in relationships, or bizarre technical issues that consume your time and energy. The adversary will even orchestrate unnecessary battles, conflicts that didn't exist before, hoping to drain your strength before your blessing arrives. These are not random obstacles, but calculated attempts to position you away from your place of reception. In this critical season, silence becomes your strategy, not the silence of inactivity, but the sacred stillness that refuses to be baited into battles that don't belong to you. Prayer becomes your power source, connecting you to divine energy when your human strength fails. Stillness becomes your weapon, the ability to remain centered in God's presence when everything around you spins in chaos. God doesn't need your panic. He needs your peace. He doesn't require your striving. He requires your stillness. The plan will unfold without your anxious effort. It simply needs your aligned awareness and receptive spirit. If you're experiencing increased spiritual resistance, right now type "standing my ground" in the comments. Let's explore how to recognize divine hints and respond to heavenly nudges as your breakthrough approaches. The deepest spiritual paradox we must embrace as we approach this divine appointment at the end of November is surrender. In a culture obsessed with control, planning, and micromanaging outcomes, surrender feels counterintuitive, even dangerous. But divine timing operates according to a higher wisdom that often contradicts our human instincts. The key now isn't to increase your striving, but to perfect your surrendering, letting go of the calculations, predictions, and timelines you've been desperately trying to manage. Think about the transformation that happens when water surrenders to gravity. When it flows freely instead of resisting, it gains momentum, power, and purpose. Similarly, when you surrender to divine timing, you're not giving up. You're gaining access to a spiritual current that carries you faster toward your destination than your own striving ever could. Those who fully surrender will experience supernatural acceleration, while those who cling to control will face continued delay and frustration. This surrender isn't passive resignation, it's active alignment. It's saying, "God, I believe you even when I can't predict you." It's acknowledging that His timing is perfect even when it doesn't match your preference. It's recognizing that His wisdom operates beyond the limited horizon of your understanding. When you surrender, you're not abandoning your destiny. You're embracing the divinely orchestrated path to its fulfillment. The resistance you feel toward surrender often comes from a deeper fear, the fear that if you relinquish control, things will fall apart. But the hidden truth is that your control was always an illusion. The very things you thought you were holding together were actually being sustained by divine grace all along. Surrender doesn't create chaos. It reveals the perfect order that was operating beneath your anxious management. Now, I want to share something profound about what happens after revelation comes. Many believe that the revelation of God's plan is the destination, the final victory. But in spiritual reality, it's only the beginning of a new journey, stewardship. What God reveals, He expects you to guard. The blessings that will manifest at the end of November aren't just gifts to enjoy. They're assignments to manage with maturity, humility, and holy discretion. Not everything that God shows you is meant to be shared immediately. Some revelations need to be nurtured in privacy before they're ready for public display. Like a pregnant woman who doesn't announce her condition in the vulnerable first trimester, there's wisdom in protecting divine beginnings from premature exposure. What is born in privacy often carries greater strength and resilience than what develops under public scrutiny. This stewardship requires spiritual maturity, the ability to handle blessing without becoming corrupted by it. It demands humility, remembering the source of your elevation when others begin to praise your success. It calls for discernment, knowing which doors to open and which to close, which relationships to cultivate and which to release. The weight of revelation always brings the responsibility of representation. The enemy cannot destroy God's plan, but he can distract you from properly stewarding it. As your breakthrough approaches, expect unusual opposition specifically targeting your focus. Your attention is a precious resource. In this season, guard it vigilantly and invest it wisely. If you sense God calling you to a deeper level of surrender in preparation for what's coming, type "complete surrender" in the comments. Let's examine why the greatest battles often intensify right before the divine revelation becomes visible. As we approach the end of this journey together, I want you to remember that the divine timing we've been discussing isn't just a concept, it's a living reality unfolding in your life right now. The end of November isn't just another date on the calendar, it's a divine appointment that's been scheduled since before you were born. I truly believe that if this message found you today, it wasn't by accident, but by divine orchestration. God wanted you to hear these words of encouragement because He's preparing something extraordinary in your life. The very fact that you've stayed with me until this point is confirmation that your spirit recognizes truth when it encounters it. If this message resonated deep within your soul, I'd be honored if you'd leave a comment simply saying, "Divinely timed," so I know who received this word. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to maintain their faith during their waiting season. I'd also appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, not for algorithms or numbers, but because it creates a ripple effect that helps this message reach others who are standing at the edge of their breakthrough, needing this same encouragement. And if you haven't already joined our spiritual family here, I invite you to subscribe. We're walking this journey of faith together, and I share these divine insights regularly because I believe in the power of timely words to transform lives and renew hope. There's a video right here that dives deeper into how to prepare your heart for divine visitation. Click and continue with me there, because what God is doing in this season requires not just knowing about breakthrough, but being positioned to receive it when it comes. I'll meet you there as we continue unwrapping this divine mystery together.